September 1st, 2017. Due for another harvest on tomatoes here, especially the cherries. Been falling behind a little bit in my foliar feed, so things have slowed up a little bit, and we have a little bit of what the average person calls blight coming in here. I do not call this blight. I call this potassium deficiency, because the reality is blight and other saprophytic fungi can only attack plants that are, or can only attack leaves of plants where the cells of those plants are electrically dead. And if you have all the mineral nutrition that those plants need, those cells won't be electrically dead, and they'll maintain their waxy surface on the surface of the leaves, and that will prevent fungi from crossing that barrier and basically kind of like getting their hold inside the leaf and starting to use the leaf as nutrition. So what really is going on here is, because we're filling a massive amount of fruit, and you can see the fruit load that's on here, and you can see that there's even more flowers coming on and developing, and that most of those are not aborting. They're starting to fill the fruit out. You can see at different stages here as I go down the plant. And so what happens is we have this tremendous fruit load that we're trying to fill, and for every single one of those fruit, we need a tremendous amount of potassium to carry sugars and other nutrients into the tomatoes in this case. And the unfortunate reality is, when you start filling this much fruit, it takes a tremendous amount of potassium, and that potassium that goes into each one of these fruit actually stays in that fruit. So it needs to be replaced from the soil, and if it can't come from the soil, it will take it from the plant. And since potassium is mobile in the plant, you'll see that it goes from the bottom to the top. It takes it from the old leaves and pushes it up to the new leaves and to the new fruit in an attempt to fill as many of its babies as possible. Really, the way to look at a plant who has this many fruit on it and is flowering and fruiting at this aggressive rate is, ultimately, this plant is the equivalent of a woman who's pregnant with many, many children at once. And when you think about it from that perspective, it helps put it in perspective about just what the nutritional needs really are. Imagine if a human woman had, say 500 babies she was pregnant with all at once. Imagine the food load that she would have to consume in order to supply all those babies adequate nutrition. Well, that's what we're looking here in the form of plants. So I hope that helps you understand the concept of blight and mineral nutrition and potassium specifically. And I really just wanted to give you a quick tour of the tomatoes, but I always feel it's necessary, because this conversation of blight always comes up, and people say, oh, the blight's here, you can't stop it, and or you got to put pesticides on it or fungicides. No, I don't put any fungicides on. And as soon as I get some more produce to market and can get the money together, I'm going to order some more potassium in a available but not soluble form, and I will be foliar feeding that on, and that'll have a similar effect to the plants having it directly in the roots. I also will supplement the roots a little bit to help boost it, but that will basically stop the quote-unquote blight, because it will fill the potassium needs of the plant and the nutrition needs of the plant. But anyway, you can see there's a tremendous amount of ripe cherry tomatoes on here, and these are really delicious. And yes, I am going to torture you. I am going to eat one. So sweet. I gave some samples to a friend of mine the other day, and he shared some with friends of his, and the remark that came back from every single one of those people was, I can't believe how sweet those tomatoes are with as big as they are. And that comes back to potassium carrying sugars into the plant, adequate trace mineral nutrition. It really does make a massive difference, and you can literally taste it in the food. These are crimson beefsteaks. These are rockin'. I'm very excited about these. Oh, well. Okay, so we need more nutrition on these plants as well. But anyway, they're growing like crazy. And the green peppers are doing well also, bell peppers. and we'll just take a little stroll over here and let you see the plum tomatoes, which obviously have a little bit more nutritional deficiency at the moment. Like I said, I'll address that as soon as I have the nutrition on hand. For now, there's not much I can do. Kind of frustrating. Some of my commercial accounts take up to 2 weeks to pay for produce, and I understand why they work that way, but after working for 5 or 6 months straight, laying out labor and nutrition, kind of frustrating to have to wait another couple of weeks to get paid. But it's the reality of farming, and that's just how it is. Anyway, so overall, things are doing well, and hope you've enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching the Farmacy Seeds Network.